What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another video. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so please do your own research before doing anything like buying gold or silver or investing in any of the strategies I discuss on this channel. The channel's for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research. Hire a professional financial advisor if you don't know what you're doing. And that's it. Today, March 7th, 2023. It's been a while since I put out a video. I know it's been crazy. I've been meaning to put out more, but unfortunately, life happens. So there hasn't been a whole lot really happening of note really since my last video about 3 weeks ago. I see Powell's testifying today. He's saying interest rates may need to go higher than they currently are, and so we're in this higher for longer cycle, which I don't believe for a second we're going to stay that high for that long. But who knows? What do I know? I'm just a guy trying to make it in the world today. So that all obviously had an impact on gold and silver. They're down for the day. I think gold right now is around 18.25 US. Silver is probably below 20 bucks, or no, sorry, below $21. But anyways, that's not stopping me. I know what I'm doing, and first I just like to say I'm very pleased with interest rates rising, because if you have cash on the sidelines, I keep drilling this home, man. It was so crappy for like the last decade. You had to take an inordinate amount of risk to, basically move the needle on building net worth and stuff like that. Now you don't really have to do much of anything. I just crunched my passive income numbers, and I just got some cash sitting on the sidelines in various, high interest savings accounts, money market, all sorts of different little things like that, short-term stuff. And which, I might add, are not risk-free. Money market funds, blew up in 08, 09 and stuff like that. I don't want to say, there ain't no such thing as a riskless thing to invest in nowadays. Everything comes with higher than normal risk. But that said, you're getting paid 4.5% to stick your money into a money market account or into a high interest savings account. I mean, it takes a lot of pressure off. I mean, you don't really need, that's the other thing too. A lot of people think they need to hit the ball out of the park in order to succeed financially, in order to build long-term wealth and stuff like that. And nothing could be really further from the truth. And right now I'm kind of speaking to like those of you who may be just starting off on your own little financial journeys. Check out my website, My Road to Wealth and Freedom. It's in the link down in the description below. Check all that stuff out. I've been writing it for almost a decade now, and you can just see what my kind of journey was like. In the beginning, we didn't have a ton of money. We didn't, we struggled. It's hard to save. It's hard, it is what it is, right? We all got to kind of budget, and we all got to struggle, and, you got to kind of, hold off on consumption today in order to consume more down the road, as Warren Buffett always says, right? So anyway, where was I going with that? All I just had to say is this: you don't need to take crazy amounts of risk in order to, slowly build wealth. I think, my own personal journey was very slow and steady, investing, lots of money. It was just basically kind of like I treated my investing like a bill payment. Everybody has their monthly bills. You pay your cable, you pay your phone bill, you pay your car payment and mortgage and all that. Well, I also had a huge bill called investing. And that meant investing into retirement accounts, investing outside of retirement. I did a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm still doing that, actually. But anyways, all by way of saying, the most secure, stable wealth is that which is built slowly over time. And it's funny, like the older we all get, the more you realize how true that actually is. Slow and steady wins the race. As long as you are, putting aside a little bit of money each month, you're saving for your future, then you're doing the right thing, as far as I'm concerned. Once you kind of get a good little nest egg built up, then you can start to branch out into other things. But Yeah, I just want to say that, and also having a 4.5%. You know, go look up compound interest calculators and stuff. Now, I don't really believe that we're going to be at these higher interest rates for maybe more than 6 months to a year or something like that before things start coming off the rail. There's a lot of pressure building in the whole financial system. We saw Credit Suisse this past week. They're facing bank runs. You know, they've been in a lot of trouble for a few years, and this is kind of like, the end game basically for them. It's uncertain what will happen if that bank collapses. I'm guessing it's probably going to be nothing good, and it could herald a global depression. But what do I know? Anytime a major bank goes bust, there's big, huge problems. And the thing is we're at the point now where the powers that be really can't hide the fallout from all these things anymore. It's apparent to everybody what's going on. But anyway, I just wanted to say Canadian bank earnings came out last week, and of course, loan loss provisions are through the roof. Well, maybe not through the roof, but they have every single one of them have been, ramping up loan loss provisions. The housing market is still in the toilet, and it's probably going lower. And the longer people hang on, the banks have bent over backwards. They're doing reverse amortizations. They're doing all sorts of silly little tricks to try to keep the insolvent homeowner in their home. But you can only play that game for so long. And if we are, in fact, higher for longer, whether that's a year, another year of this, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, who knows? The clock is ticking. And before, ever see those shows where it's like, oh, hey, there's like a bomb and this and that, and then the timer, goes like click, click, really slow, and then all of a sudden it hits like, 30 seconds and speeds up all of a sudden. That's what I feel like is going on with consumers, right? They're over indebted. We saw last week to also U.S. home sales or auto sales or home owners and car owners. Anyways, anybody with this debt, the debt is fast becoming worth more than what the underlying asset is worth, right? You bought a vehicle for 40 grand. Well, now that vehicle's worth maybe 30, but you still owe, 38,000 on it or whatever it is, right? Lots of crazy stuff happened in the past couple of years, right? Everybody was gambling in the stock market and in the cryptoverse and, NFTs and all this stuff. All this stuff is getting all shaken out right now. And the true pain, we've seen, in the crypto world, tons of things go bust, but it really hasn't impacted the stock market all that much. Unless you're like a Coinbase or, like one of the crypto names. But I do think a lot of that is, there's a lot of financial pain. I think it's just being masked right now. We see lines of credit are being run up, credit cards and stuff like that. People will desperately hang on in hopes that if they can just hold out a little bit longer, rates will be lower and everything will be all right. But what they don't really see is they're racking up a shit ton of debt. And by the time we get to lower rates, their payment, even at the lower rate, might be similar to what it is now. This is we're headed towards, I feel like a debt spiral. At least in this country, in Canada, probably most of the world, everyone's really indebted. And anyway, I hope you guys aren't. I hope you guys are, if you are, you're doing the right thing. Pay off your debts first before doing anything like buying gold, silver, investing in the stock market or whatever. Buying lotto tickets and stuff like that. None of that stuff will save your butt, but diligently, relentlessly paying down debt will work miracles for you. That's all I can say. There's no quick way to wealth. There's no easy ticket to solving all your problems. It's just hard work, nose to the grind, hustling, doing whatever it is you got to do to get to where you want to be in life. But yeah, so beyond that, I want to talk a little bit more about inflation. Inflation is still way too high. And, you know, the year over year numbers are starting to, well, or not starting to, will eventually start to kind of roll over as, you know, inflation does moderate a little bit. But it's not like I just took a trip to the grocery store yesterday, and it's like $8 for a small little 300-gram thing of spinach. You know, like, give me a break. You know, we've seen over in the UK, tomatoes. There's a shortage of tomatoes. Like, we have shortages of like everything now, and you know the cost of everything. You know, you go buy a couple Honeycrisp apples, and it's like $10. I think for like 3 of these things, $10. You know, I remember when I was a kid, you could get a whole bag, maybe not Honeycrisp apples, but like it was like $3 or something like that for like, you know, 12 or 13 apples. It's like, what are we doing? It's becoming nearly impossible to eat anymore. And that's the thing, you know, food inflation is real and it hits everybody, you know, especially like, you know, the lower classes and that. And, you know, that's the stuff that matters, right? So my guess is that in these upcoming consumer core inflation reports, these CPI numbers, we're going to see inflation looking like it's going down. And it probably is. If you want to buy a TV, it'll probably be a lot cheaper. If you want to go even buy a secondhand car or whatever, yeah, it's going to be a lot cheaper than it was a few years ago based on price. But based on payments, it's going to be much higher. There's no car companies offering 0% anymore. And that is my point. The stuff that we need keeps going up in value and or in price anyway. And the stuff like, you know, discretionary things will probably go down. So what does that mean? It's more pain for the average consumer, the average person. You know, if you're a homeowner, you're getting it every which way. Higher payments, higher in taxes, higher insurance costs. You know, higher heating bills and cooling in the summer, electricity, everything, you know. And if you have a family, all those little mouths to feed, and that, these grocery bills are getting insane. And, you know, Canada and the US are like major agricultural producers and exporters. So, you know, you would think that we would have probably some of the best prices in the world. And looking out across the world, I mean, Pakistan looks like it's on the brink of collapsing. You have all of this stuff. And anyway, I'm not too sure about where any of this really ends up going. But I did see Singapore is buying gold, China's buying more gold, Russia's buying more gold. Everyone's buying more gold. So if you have a bit of financial stability in your life, if you're at a decent point in your life, then maybe you should consider, you know, putting a little bit of your money into some gold or silver. I really wanted to buy another tube of maples. However, I couldn't because I just like the premiums are so high. And so what I opted to do instead is I put the money I would have spent on a tube of maples into the Sprott physical silver ETF, PSLV. That's not investment advice or recommendations. It's just something going forward that I think I'm going to start doing a little bit. It's hard to handle a lot of silver. There's always risk. You know, I wouldn't invest in things like SLV, but the Sprott funds are known to have physical silver. I think that's kind of where I'm going to start putting my silver allocation anyway. Gold, I'm still a huge fan of gold. You know, I might even consider, you know, the Sprott physical gold trust for some money as well. Throw it that way. The problem with physical, it's just really hard to find storage and stuff like that. There's fees involved. You know, you can keep a little bit at home, but it's not really recommended. Even just what I have in front of me here, it's probably looking at, you know, $8,000 or something like that. It's definitely not, you know, not stuff you really want to have hanging around. Make sure you get a good safe and, you know, safe deposit box and whatnot. I'm going to put this stuff away for now. because I wanted to talk a little bit more about coin collecting. You know, it was really interesting. I had a conversation with my son the other day. You know, he's still young. He's 8, and he was talking. We were talking about coin collecting, and he was asking me, you know, hey, like, when did you start collecting coins and stuff like that? And I said, you know, right around your age. I remember, you know, going down to the coin shop and being all excited to get some coins, and so I thought I'd just kind of, you know, showcase some of these, some of my coins, and talk a little bit, because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of people just flipping through coins, and there's something about that. If you're bored, if you got time on your hands, it's really nice just to kind of look at some coins and just really appreciate them. I love collecting coins. I love all the history behind it. I used to just collect Canadian coins only, and then I started branching out into US coins and international coins and stuff like that. And over time, it's just, you know, like I was telling my son, I was like, I remember being your age, and I would go and I'd be able to get these little silver dimes and quarters and, you know, silver dollars for very little, you know, fiat money. I don't know. I think I was buying like an brilliant uncirculated quarter, you know, for maybe 75 cents silver. You know what I mean? Like that today, that quarter is, whoa, what the melt value is probably $5 or $6. You know, these silver dollars are like maybe over $20. You know, back then you could pick up a nice one for like pretty cheap, you know, maybe $8-9. This would have been maybe 20 years ago when I got some of these ones, but yeah, it's just a point is, and I guess like at some sort of fundamental level, I've always considered, you know, my coins as basically like tangible, real assets, you know, that were sort of like a foundation of, you know, my personal wealth, especially when I didn't really have much money when I was a student. You know, when I was just starting out, I just bought my first little place, and, you know, you don't really have a whole lot to fall back on, but I always just kind of in the back of my head, I always had, you know, some silver, and I didn't really have much gold until later, but I did have the odd gold piece. Not a lot of it, but anyway, it's just, and I even like paper money collection as well. You know, these are things that you can kind of fall back on and rely on in hard times if ever that happens, you need to sell and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, so I just thought I'd kind of showcase some of these, just kind of talk about, as I do this, I just want to kind of talk about inflation and, you know, how frustrating it is. This is actually my Canadian quarter collection. It is complete. You might see the odd empty space. I have it. It's just in like an ICCS holder or a PCGS holder, and it can't actually be in my my actual binder not. But this one's the 1875. I'm really happy to get that one. I got it a couple years ago, and man, it was a tough one. It's not cheap. Obviously over $500 for a quarter, but it's good to have it anyway. Yeah, so I was having this conversation with my wife about, you know, inflation and why I'm so pissed off about it and stuff like that. And one of the things that I guess people maybe don't realize, or maybe they do at some level, it's that, like, I work, you know, you guys probably work. You know, we trade our time and our labor for a paycheck, you know, that's fiat currency and stuff. Now that time and labor, the energy that it takes us to work, whether you're, you know, in construction or even the mental work, you know, maybe you're an accountant or you're a manager or you're in the transportation industry, jobs are stressful. You know, things are, you know, some days, you know, you might come home from, I remember I used to come home from work and I was just like, oh man, I can't even think. I don't even want to think. Your mind is mush. And, you know, that's all spent time in labor. And in return for that, we get, you know, a little bit of pay. We, you know, whatever, every 2 weeks or whatever. And then what do you do with that? if you just keep that in cash over time, it gets eroded away through inflation to zero. But you never get your time or your labor back. And that is my issue with all of this stuff. So that's why I've always wanted to invest in things that appreciate in value, that will, or at the very least, hold their value. Gold, silver, you know, some rare coins, stocks, you know, investing, and, you know, that type of thing. You always want to be getting ahead. Because if I always look at it as if you're not getting ahead, you're just falling behind. And that's a crappy way to be, especially when you've worked hard for your entire life. So that's why I think now in particular, these are beautiful silver caribou quarters. All of these are all nice uncirculated. Some are gem uncirculated. I should get some of these. Some of them are so nice. Like this 47 is just so nice. I actually want to get it professionally graded. Can't really see it, but here's the back. It might be a 65, and that would be, you know, a really valuable quarter. But anyway, back to what I was saying. And that is, you know, that's the danger, right? That's the pernicious, that it stealthily steals your hard-earned labor and time and your work. That's what inflation does. And, you know, at some level, you know, I would hope that people understand that. I'm not going to bother showing any more of these quarters now. They're all nickel and stuff like that. So I do want to showcase, you know, these are, I love all these coins, and it's just, they have such rich history and stuff like that. This is a King John short cross penny. This was a penny, a silver penny, all right, from, you know, 800 years ago, guys. Like, it's hard to believe that something is tangible, that has been seen as wealth and money since the dawn of humanity. You know, the dawning of civilization and stuff like that is just you know, an antique, you know, a lump of rock or whatever. I just don't buy it. Here's another. These are old English hammered coins, a Henry VII silver groat. You know, again, 500-year-old coin. A lot of history, a lot of, you know, I'm just fascinated by all of these coins and stuff like that. I really appreciate and enjoy them. And I was actually happy to see my son getting interested in them, because he's always buying these stupid Pokemon cards and stuff like that. You know, wasting, as far as I can tell, it's kind of like a waste of money. But hey, man, we were all kids. I used to buy tons of baseball cards and hockey and stuff like that. So I totally get it. I totally get it. But then he had mentioned he wanted to save up a couple bucks to buy a silver dime. And I was just like, you know, like, that's good. You know, my next order, I'll, you know, tack on some junk silver, basically, because he's going to want to touch it and play with it and drop it and ding it up and stuff like that. Eh? For kids, you just buy them junk silver, and they have a blast with that, right? But anyways, I was kind of encouraged that, you know, hey, maybe these guys are actually understanding that it's important to save a little bit of your money in real assets, tangible things that hold their value. And I told him the story about when I was a kid. I used to buy these dimes and stuff like that for, you know, under $1 for sure, maybe 50 cents or something like that. These are those silver dimes, right? 80% silver. Yeah, like then he's looking, and he's you can see, you know, the little like, you know, it's computing in his head, you know, hey, it's, you know, this was like a, you know, 50 cents or $1 when you were a kid, and now it's like $4 or $5 as I'm a kid. You know, my guess is when he's my age, it's probably going to be worth, you know, $10 or $15, right? It's kind of the way things are. They're not finding too much more silver or gold for that matter. So anyway, I just want to kind of impart that on both my children. My daughter's a bit of a saver anyway, but mainly it's just kind of interesting, right? Like it's a hobby. I feel like, you know, coin collectors are natural savers, basically. We save our money. We understand value. We understand history, and we are not afraid to own gold and silver. We don't see it as such a speculative endeavor or undertaking or whatever, but something to be held for the long term. Which brings me to what I really wanted to say. If you guys have hung on this long, kudos to you. Thanks so much for being supporters and understanding, listening to what I'm talking about. I know many of you feel the same way as I do. And I bought a really, really, really great coin. This coin will probably be one of my certainly a gem favorite for a long time. Like a prized possession, and I believe I'm going to get it sometime this week, and I can't wait to show it off to you guys. I had to pony up for it. I had to spend, but damn, it's a nice coin. I won't tell you what it is. I'll just leave you hanging. I can't wait to showcase this. It might even be out tomorrow, so stay tuned for tomorrow. If not, sometime this week, I for sure am going to be doing a video on it. Well, that's all for today, guys. Once again, like the video, subscribe to my channel. I'm actually thinking about getting off YouTube, man. It's just too hard to get eyeballs and, you know, try to get some ad revenue going and stuff like that. It's just in general, it's everything. So just trying to find you know, maybe I can go to like a paywall and stuff like that. I don't know what I'll do. But anyway, check out my website, My Road to Wealth and Freedom. I just published a net worth there last week, and coming up is going to be my the passive income report I put out every month, and it just kind of lets you guys know what I'm at, what I'm thinking, where I'm going. And I hope you enjoy these videos. Take care.